Welcome back to Concilium Historic Imperialis' 40K Lore Series. I am Decurio Iomhar with my favorite partner in crime, Chef Tekonis. Say hi, Chef.
How's it going?
Awesome. Today we will be discussing the time of ending. This era follows the waning in which the Imperium launched numerous crusades in a fervent effort to regain and consolidate much which was lost, though only to be beset by one cataclysm after the other. Before we get all into this, though, if you like what we do, maybe consider supporting us on Patreon. For only $5 a month, you gain access to our episodes 2 days early, get to view our bonus content, and have a chance to vote on what topics we cover next in our 40K lore videos. We also have a free Discord server for our community and anyone who enjoys Warhammer 40K and other things besides. Links for both in the description below. Thanks again for listening and supporting us. It means a lot. I have another announcement, kind of like off the cuff, so it has been, in other words, I haven't written it down so I don't muck it up. But hopefully by next month, or whatever the next lore video is going to drop after this one, we will be switching over, hopefully, huge hopefully, into like a formal video format where you're going to see myself and Chef in the flesh. And we are going to, talk across from each other or next to each other. We haven't quite figured out the formatting there yet. But we're going to be in the flesh, pressing, and we get to see how bald I am and how colorful this dude is and why I'm jelly all the time.
You'll get to see our ugly mugs.
Yeah, well, you'll get to see my ugly mug. Such as it is, we do appreciate the patience, and this has been a learning experience for me, especially because in addition to being essentially the figurehead of this entire channel, I also am the primary editor and producer, and it has been a journey these last 6 months or so. Yeah, listen, guys.
It was a few years back, but I used to know how to do a lot of this stuff because of my schooling, but a lot of that knowledge has faded away.
Yeah, misuse breeds incompetence, and that's a polite way of saying is like, man, you lose it if you don't use it.
Well, pretty much. Back then, though, it was like I didn't really have a chance to use it. Never could get into my field of my degree.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us. Like, I was never going to use my degree in law enforcement post-military, so like I feel that pain.
Yeah.
There's no world where I was going to be able to do what I did when I was in the service, or for the obvious reasons for a couple of those things. But like, we're not going to get into that.
Yeah.
So yeah, all this is to say that look forward. Hopefully, the next lore video will have us in the flesh, assuming that we don't have anything that like compromises that production. Thank you for sticking with us. It has been a wild 6 months or so. I've learned firsthand that this shit's easier said than done. Like I told myself, and Chef here can attest, I went into this thinking that I was going to do better, be better, and this was going to be a cakewalk, as us Americans would say. And it hasn't been anything but. This is hard work. Every video I dedicate at least 15 hours to like producing and editing, and I don't know, hopefully it shows. I'm getting better. This is not something that I do like Chef had said he wanted to do it. I've never wanted to do something like this, but I just, for the life of me, I saw all these lore channels, and apart from maybe like a handful, most of them don't do justice to the lore, I feel, which is no dig against anybody, or I'm not going to name names certainly, but like I wanted to show things that people don't, because my anal retentive mind cannot conceive of a world where certain things don't get espoused versus those that commonly do. Yeah. Like I hate the meme aspect of most of this franchise. As funny as it is, and I do enjoy it, is humorous. Yeah. It detracts from the actual lore in a lot of cases. And to the credit of many that go down that road, whether they're a YouTube channel or they're like a whole thing, a business, it is important to note that there's miscommunication a lot of the time, more than there isn't. And, yeah, they get their money, they get their laughs, and I get laughs, and, it's all good. But like, we gotta try and, separate the chaff here, from the wheat. Be that as it may, thanks. I appreciate it for sticking with me this long. Now, one other thing before we begin, and this is a little disclaimer, really. Everything discussed in this episode is with brevity. Many of these events brought up will have their own dedicated episodes in the future. So for now, just enjoy the ride and wait for further detail down the road.
And if I would also say that if there's any of these that you wish for us to cover more than others in the future, we can try to make a list, or like you said on the Patreon, you can take a vote on what we do next.
Yeah.
We could talk about such subjects that you guys would like to learn about.
Yeah, speaking of which, have we hammered, we talked about it very briefly about a month or so ago. I'm going to say it was certainly last month. Yeah, it was last month.
I think so, yeah.
So I asked him, I was like, all right, so in lieu of not getting, polls out to figure out what we cover next, assuming anybody cares to engage in the polls, which as of so far they have not, but that's okay. What we would cover next. And he decided on, what was it again? Was it the Tau, you said, that you wanted to see more of?
Yeah, I think I did mention the Tau because, like, out of all, like you said, like the meme culture of Warhammer 40K, I see a tremendous amount of hate for them. I'm like, they seem all right to me.
The second 40K army I ever collected was the Tau. So the first army, in case you're wondering, was an Orc Wah.
Gotta get a Wah.
Yeah, of course.
And I've told him one of the first armies I possibly want to do while learning this, and it's mainly because I just like the way they look and their design, was the Death Corps of Krieg.
Yeah.
They look like cool guys, and I was like,
yeah,
maybe.
They have their own dedicated models, too. You can field an entire army of the Death Corps of Krieg. Now, that wasn't always the case. Like, this happened, I want to say the year before last that they got introduced as new models. So it's exciting times. Yeah. So did we settle on the Death Corps of Kree? Is that what you're telling me? For a minute there, I thought you were going to do the Knights of the Raven.
It was a couple. Like, it was a few that I've been bouncing around. I was like the Death Corps of Krieg, Knights of the Raven. If I did Salamanders, I was thinking about doing the Covenant of Fire.
Yeah.
Salamanders.
Excellent color scheme, by the way. Love it.
So, got a cool color scheme. And if I were to go any other factions, it would be, orcs, obviously, are awesome.
Yeah.
When it came to Chaos, I specifically I don't know if the models are still like it, but I've seen a few models of the Sound Marines.
Oh, so you're talking about the Emperor's Children.
Yeah, the Emperor's Children.
They got a model refresh last year.
Yeah, the Sound Marines. They look cool, like just melt your face. Like they actually
just like
melting metal.
Yeah.
Literally melt your face. Like with Sonic.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I'm glad that I'm getting you more into the hobby, because honestly I need a friend that would like to, battle.
Yeah,
and I know you do it.
I'm having the money for said mods.
I know you do it for the miniature aspect of it, and for the beauty of the spear tip box is that it's ready to go. You just gotta make all the models, paint them, and buy
which I haven't had much experience actually putting models together.
Yeah,
most of the models that I have painted, which are over on I typically put videos of my model painting over on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
There, it'll be just Tekonis. If anyone's interested in looking that up.
Yeah.
The only thing you'll find there is me model painting a bunch of, right now, Bloodborne, Power Rangers, and food videos, because that's where the chef part comes in.
He is an actual chef, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
Did it for the military, and for a while, I think I cooked for 13 years total.
Yeah.
But then, just life happened, pandemic.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to work in a professional kitchen that was worth it.
Yeah.
I think the only thing the way I'd go back to cooking at this point is if I could actually get my own fucking food truck.
Right? Sign me up for that, right? What would we make?
Oh, I haven't decided. There's like many different things. Like me and my wife that thought about doing like a donut, like a fresh donut truck, and then like during the wintertime still have donuts, but also serve like different flavors of like hot chocolate and like hot drinks to
That's
serve to
what's up.
people.
I like that idea. It's got
Different things like that. Like we've thought about that because like my wife has an extensive like bakery background, while I have like more of a cooking. I
yeah.
do more savory. She does the more sweets. So
Well,
possibly mixing something like that into something.
well, I mean, if you ever need a barker, I can't exactly be on my feet all the live long day because of my disability, but like I would absolutely bark for you across the entire community. Why not?
Right.
I've got nothing to better do with my time.
So maybe one day in the future it'll happen, but we'll see.
So, how about it? You want to get into this lore?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Cool. All right. So,
I do want to say that I do want to apologize to people that if I do not talk very much during the videos, um, it's more of like I'm probably like you in this aspect. You're here to learn. I'm learning about stuff that I do not know about.
yeah.
So coming up with like just talking points, stuff like that is more of like, I don't know how to say, like I'm here learning. I'm getting interested in it, so I'm just listening.
He's here to learn, ladies and gentlemen. He is here to learn
and like learn more about like the game, more about the lore.
Yeah,
all the aspects, and I'll have my questions, but it's just like I'm more like I get so like a disclaimer. I have ADHD, so I'm like I focus in. I tend to be hyper focused at points. And that's one of them when I'm listening to somebody.
Yeah.
I try to do that because there's many like distracting things that can happen with me, but when someone's actually talking to me, I try to lock in.
For the most show part. Notes, are they helping, do you think?
Yes, the show notes are helping.
That's good. Because for a while there we were doing it without show notes.
I got pictures.
He has colorful pictures now, a slideshow, if you will.
You can actually see what things look like.
Yeah, it's just like them. You don't have to imagine. Kyle the spoiler. Kyle the spoiler looks exactly like you think he would.
His goddamn baseball bat growing out of the top of his head. It's a metal baseball bat.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into it. We're almost at the 13-minute marker here. So I gave you the little disclaimer. Now on to the lore. As the threats to the Imperium grew in the last centuries of the 41st millennium, humanity stood on the precipice of utter extinction. The time of ending was the era of humanity's judgment, where faith was tested by fire, and every man or woman's courage was pushed to its limits, and well beyond. By this time, secession, rebellion, chaos, corruption, and heresy were now rife within every corner of the Imperium. Sensing weakness, alien empires, ancient and new to humanity's experience, that means the Orcs, the Aldari, the Tau, and the Necrons, and perhaps worst of all, the Tyranids, closed in from every side. Now, Zealots ranted that the Xenos were mankind's punishment. It's just consequences for straying from the Emperor's guidance, after all. Now, the rise of mutants and witches was yet another sign of humanity's sin. Desperate messages from across the galaxy echoed through the warp. Astropaths worked feverishly to pull the transmissions from the Immaterium and translate them to sift the meaning from the garble. The messages were increasingly dire. Planetary governors sent desperate pleas for aid, and the Astra Militarum officers called for reinforcements. Fleet commanders issued ominous warnings of every starship's movements. The forces of the Imperium fought with the valor of ancient heroes, defending humanity from within, without, and beyond. But they could not be everywhere at once. The Space Marines and Astra Militarum were at war as never before. Even during the Horus Heresy have we not seen such catastrophe. The news grew worse daily, the attacks on the Imperium steadily increasing. Most ominous of all, the prescient foretold of great ripples in the warp, like a swell in the water disturbing by some colossal but unseen menace in the depths below. Fell things were gathering in that dread realm, straining as never before to break the bounds of reality. We come now to the Damocles Gulf Crusade, which took place between 742 and 745 M41. Now, the Imperium made official first contact with the Tau during the aforementioned Damocles Gulf Crusade, also just called the Damocles Crusade for short, which was the first military conflict fought between the Imperium of Man and the rapidly expanding Tau Empire in the Lithish sector of the Ultima Segmentum in the eastern fringes during the late 41st millennium. So the Tau, they're like new players in the field.
Wasn't there a thing that they were actually, like, we'll probably get more into it, like, in the Tau video, but, like, there was, when they first initially introduced the Tau, like, they were supposed to be the good guys, and people were like, ew, no, and they're like, fine, they're just another Xeno race, or, like, something like that.
Yeah, we will, when we get into, listen, when we do our dedicated Tau episode, we will get into that diatribe of, like, what they first were meant to be versus what they are now. And I'll tell you exactly who we have to blame for that. For better or for worse. I don't know. Like, personally, I don't think that they fit as the good guys because, that's not what the setting's about.
It's grimdark.
Yeah. We have to
hope it's grimdark.
Maybe one day when they escape the ethereals, they might be able to pull for the greater good and actually it be the greater good. But the ethos of their doctrine aside, we will carry on for now. So the crusade was initiated after the Tau water caste had established trade agreements with imperial worlds on the frontier of the Tau Empire, near the Damocles Gulf region in the galactic east, and exchanges of goods and technology were common at that time. Alarmed by the threat of alien contamination, the Administratum readied a suitable response, and almost a Terran century later, the Damocles Crusade smashed into Tau space, destroying several outlying settlements and pushing deep into the Tau Empire proper. When the Imperial fleet reached the Tau Sept world of Daleth Prime, however, the crusade ground to a bloody stalemate as the formidable numbers and high technology of the Tau and their crude allies thwarted every attempt to capture the world or its star system. Many months of terrible fighting ensued with nothing gained on either side. By late 742 M41, the Crusade's commanders eventually agreed to requests from the water caste for peace talks. The negotiations were successful, and the Imperial fleet withdrew from Tau space unmolested, primarily due to the impending approach of the Tyranid Hive fleet, Behemoth. Next up is this, in the time of ending, is this moment in time called the Foretelling. So the time of ending earned its name in 744 M41 when Tagarath, the seer of Corinto, proclaimed the approach of the end times, as mad prophets do. He prophesied a time of unprecedented upheaval in which even the light of the Emperor was eventually swallowed in darkness. Perhaps a premonition of the Noctis Aeterna to come. Tagarath was swiftly executed by the Inquisition for heresy, and to keep his prophecies unknown by the wider imperial public, but the doomsayer's cry was picked up by other psychic sensitives on planets beyond count across the human-settled galaxy. We got a kitty break?
Apparently she wanted to be held.
Okay. Kitty break, everybody. No, he's petting
We do a video cast. You'll probably see one of them if it's at my home.
Yeah, got a kitty break. Okay, so next up in 745 M41, the Tyranids first entered the galaxy, and the Tyrannic Wars began. Hive Fleet Behemoth destroyed the Imperial star systems of Tyran, for which the Tyranids are named, just so you know, and Thandros. Later that same year, Hive Fleet Behemoth descended upon the realm of Ultramar, the fief of the Ultramarines, laying waste to several worlds and badly damaging the Space Marines' greatest chapter. The bold deeds done during the Battle of Macragge are one of the most enduring of the many legends of the Ultramarines. Chapter Master Marnius Calgar was gravely wounded by the horror known as the Swarm Lord, and the Ultramarines veteran First Company were slain to the last man. But their sacrifice bought time for 2 Imperial Navy battle fleets to converge upon Macragge and finally end the behemoth's threat. Still reeling from the terrible wounds, Imperial commanders across the Ultima Segmentum looked to their borders with growing unease. Now, in 748 and 41, we have this event called the Blood Star Campaign unfold, when the Star Ares turned blood red. It heralded increased demonic activity in the Scaris sector. Before the brutal campaign ended, it claimed untold lives, including 3 chapter masters and the fleet admiral of the Segmentum Obscurus. We come now to 750 and 41, where the Great Exodus occurred. A strange swirling phenomenon in the Argos system was only a curiosity until the sudden appearance of 6 Aldari craft worlds showed up. Now, we haven't talked about the craft worlds. Just imagine just giant planet-sized cities floating in space that the Aldari reside on.
So 6 of these just went boop, 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 just popped out of space.
Yep. By the time the Imperial fleet arrived, both the swirling mass and the Aldari were gone. Yet in their passing, all prime suns within 60 light years were extinguished. Yeah, I know, right? We do it big in 40K, guys. The Imperial fleet and innumerable transports attempted to ferry the countless billions of Imperial citizens to neighboring star systems in what was the largest exodus ever attempted by the Imperium of Man. It is estimated that nearly 12% of the population and 32% of the heavy industry of the region were safely removed. The ring of dead planets and suns is now known as the Deadhenge, a salvager's paradise and refuge for pirates.
Yar.
Yar indeed. The year 757 M41 saw the first recorded incidents of the dread zombie plague erupting on the world of Hydra Minoris.
Zombie plague.
You know, look at the pictures for the zombie plague. You'll know they'll look like zombies. This is crazy.
Zombie plague. Oh wait, plague. No, there was. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, a quarantine was imposed by the Imperial Navy, trapping 23 billion uninfected people alongside a rising tide of the hungry, contagious, and mindless undead children of Nurgle.
Thanks. I was thinking, it's like, yeah, that's probably Nurgle's doing.
Oh, 100%. You see a zombie in 40K, Nurgle. So, next up is this moment in time that is referred to as the Aldari Troubles. So in 766 and 41, many Imperial watch stations and listening posts in the Catachan and Ryza systems are attacked by Eldar pirates under the command of Uriel. Without their early warnings, their eyes and ears, if you will, this leaves both star systems vulnerable for decades to come. In 783 M41, Aldari Asuryani from the Ulthwi craft world destroyed an Adaptus Mechanicus Explorator fleet above the dead world of Madrax, but not before several probes were released and a distress hymnal dispatched. Some solar months later, Space Marines from the Blood Angels' Third Company arrived at the point of the fleet's disappearance and became embroiled in the ongoing war between Ulthway's forces and the Necrons that the Explorators inadvertently awoke on Madrax's surface. So you're going to see this a lot. The Aldari, as you recall from our War in Heaven video, are like the mortal enemy of the Necron tier and the Necrons that they become. And they go out of their way to Protoss them at every turn. You know what I mean when I say that? Like the Protoss from StarCraft. Okay, so...
Oh, it's been a minute for StarCraft.
No, it's fine. So, much like the Protoss with the Zerg, the Aldari with the Necrons go to worlds and will utterly obliterate them if they see that the Necron presence is there. Mm. And in this instance, the Aldari got forced into a protracted war against the Necron because they awakened on that planet of Madrax. So, the reason why they did all the things they did against the Mechanicus and the Imperial citizens in that area is because they knew that there was a Necron home world there. They'll make extreme gestures of violence in order to destroy the Necron. Now, around 795 M41, an uprising in the Kandor system took place and was harshly put down by the 23rd Cadian Regiment. Several of the Chaos cults involved in the rebellion, notably the followers of the Shining Deity, the Cult of Many Tentacles, and the Red-Robed Brotherhood, had not been seen since the Fourth Quadrant Rebellion. Although both military and civilian losses are high, the Krandor Rebellion's quick subjugation is vital. The Imperium could ill afford to lose the resource-rich Krandor system, which held planets strategically vital to the whole of the Segmentum Obscurus. Now, throughout the Segmentum Ultima in 797 M41, countless orc invasions threatened to mass into a single colossal wah!
Wow.
I feel like Luigi wahing every time I do that. Wah! The forces of the Imperium are stretched to their utmost to contain each individual war zone. Notable actions include Marnius Calgar, chapter master of the Ultramarines, holding the gate alone for a night and a day against the Greenskin hordes during the siege of Zalathras, and the Second Company's utter devastation of war boss Brug's planetary stronghold. In 801 M41, a brief flicker in the Astronomicon throws thousands of ships off course, dooming them to destruction in the warp. The incident indicates that the Emperor may be weakening at this time.
Oh no.
Okay, and we now come to the Siege of Vrax that took place between 813 and 830 M41. Now, the lamentable campaign known as the Siege of Vrax occurred, as I mentioned, between 813 and 830 M41. The Apostle Cardinal Zaffin leads the armory world of Vrax Prime into the service of the ruinous powers. As the forces of the Imperium arrive to quell the rebellion, they are immediately met in battle, followed by a rapid escalation of forces on both sides. The 17-year-long campaign ends in a full-scale demonic incursion and, finally, the intervention of the Ordo Malleus and the Grey Knights. By the end, Vrax is entirely laid to waste, its entire population exterminated. In 822 M41, the War Master of Chaos, otherwise known as Kyle the Spoiler, raids the Eldari maiden world of Ildonira.
God damn it, Kat.
I told you, Kat!
I told you to go home. We're going to use the fucking down.
Listen, I can only say the name Abaddon so many times before I start mucking it up, so I just call him Kyle because his first name is Ezekiel. And, it's funny because I am within the camp that refer to him as Phalbadon. The dipshit is what I call him. Phalbadon the dipshit. Or Phalbadon the armless, because of his models, his early models, his arms would always fall off because they were so heavy. So, yeah.
His goddamn claws just too heavy.
So, yeah. He raids the Eldari maiden world of Ildonira, seeking a long-lost chaos artifact, right? He is driven away by the forces of the Alatok craft world. Such an action is only minor compared to the many wars consuming the galaxy at this time, but it portents loom large in hindsight when you start to realize what he was aiming for, which will get revealed later. We return now to Krandor 3. So by 853 M41, the uprising against Imperial rule on Krandor 3, thought to have been successfully suppressed over 50 standard years previously, had once again grown strong. Mutants, psychers, and all manner of outcasts had been nurtured in darkness and corruption by the whisper of cowed chaos cultists. Even as the surging rebellion takes over the planet's surface, the Hive City by Hive City, the orbital sentinel stations and moon-based defense lasers are captured by Chaos Space Marines accomplished by loathsome creatures, neither man nor mutant, but wholly demonic. I forgot to mention, both of us are sick, so we're going to be coughing, and I apologize. 'Tis the season. Now, through three Space Marine chapters led by the stoic Imperial Fists, secure resources, Imperial artifacts, and a few Adeptus Administratum officials before an exterminatus is mercifully delivered to this planet. Some 42 Astra Militarum regiments from Krandor 3 still exist, the only survivors of their lost and benighted world, because they had been shipped to distant war zones before the rebellion even began. In 863 M41, the St. Cilia massacre occurred when the Adamant Fury Titan Legion betrayed the Emperor and fell to chaos. Do you know what a Titan Legion is? Do you remember that?
It's
It's okay if you don't. We rarely mention the Titans.
yeah.
So Titans are walking cathedral with guns. They're like...
Oh, okay, yeah, those are the big freaking things.
Yeah, they're war machines that are the size of skyscrapers, and they have ordnance to match. So once again, the Adamant Fury Titan Legion betrayed the Emperor and fell to chaos at this time. Now, the traitor Titan Legion turned its guns upon loyalist regiments of the St. Cilian Planetary Defense Forces, or the PDF for short, going forward, before making good their escape off-world. The loss of a full Titan Legion sends ripples of concern throughout the Imperium, and great effort is exerted to find and destroy them, particularly by the Mechanicus and its Collegia Titanica, which is the arm of their Titan Legions.
Yeah.
Now, in 876 M41, chaos came to the world of Van Horn in an event later known as the Blood Tide to the Inquisition. The Bloodthirster, and I'm going to try and say this right, Ka-Gaga-Naf, Lord of the Blood Tide, broke free of his bonds and unleashed a tide of gore that corrupted everything it touched. For 8 days and nights, the orgies of blood continue, each fresh death luring yet more demons to the mortal world as the barrier between the Imperium and the warp breaks down on Van Horn. Only when the Grey Knight's fourth brotherhood arrived was the blood tide abated, and then only at great cost. Ka-Jaga-Naf was cast back into the warp. The psychic backlash also banished the blood tide and the demons it had drawn forth. In 883 M41, the 423rd Cadian Regiment's spearhead, led by Knight Commander Pask, was the largest armored assault undertaken by the Imperium since the Battle of Tallarn during the Horus Heresy. Over 8,000 Imperial tanks companies and 35 super heavy tank detachments were annihilated during the nearly total destruction of the renegade Adamant Fury Traitor Titan Legion upon the Planus Steppes. So, this is was known as the Battle of the Planus Steppes. We come now in 888 M41 to during the Crusade of Wrath, where the Black Templars chapter inflicts heavy losses on the Word Bearers Traitor Legion, reclaiming several star systems previously lost in the Maelstrom, which is a zone in the Milky Way galaxy, just so you know. In 891 M41, the worlds of Persia suffer attacks from Aldari Corsairs during the Long Midnight, who swathe their targets in utter darkness before pillaging and slaughtering at will. The vicious raids only cease upon the arrival of the Praxian patrol. All right, you ready for this? Because we are now going to discuss the first Necron assault on the Imperium. In 897 M41, the fortress convent known as Sanctuary 101 is destroyed with all the sisters of battle within by the Necrons. No survivors or signs of the perpetrators are left behind. Some few servants in the Imperium begin to understand the vast threat that the awakening Necrons might become to mankind at this time. In this same year, in 897 M41, a new Tyranid menace, codenamed Hive Fleet Gorgon, is spotted by Imperial outpost, heading directly for the growing Tau Empire in the eastern fringe. No warnings are given to the Tau of what is to befall them, because, the Imperium be the Imperium. They're not going to warn a filthy Xenos what's coming. In 901 M41, the terrible civil conflict known as the Badab War begins when Luft Huron, the chapter master of the Astral Claws, Space Marines, refuses to hand over his chapter's type of gene seed to the Administratum and instead announces his secession from the Imperium, declaring himself the tyrant of Badab. 12 standard years of intersystem war follow, wreaking havoc on shipping lanes in the Maelstrom Zone, embroiling them more than a dozen Space Marine chapters. With much loss, Badab Primaris finally falls to the Loyalist forces, but Luft, Huron, and some 200 of the Astral Claws escape to take refuge in the maelstrom of the Ultima Segmentum.
I think I found his picture.
Yeah, you did. Looks pretty cool, doesn't he?
Yeah, pretty cool guy.
There, they become Heretic Astartes and change their name to the Red Corsairs. They become dreaded pirates and raiders of Imperial commerce. Huron adopted the title of Blackheart and continues to recruit more Astartes renegades to join his growing Chaos Empire. In 907 M41, Orc Wah! Activity rises throughout all 5 segmentums of the Imperium, forcing the Nova Marines, the Raptors, and Howling Griffins chapters to be redeployed away from the Badab War to counter the growing greenskin threat. Now, in 913 M41, the disciples of the Thousand Sons Chaos Sorcerer Ahriman sack the Librarium on the world of Julana. Again, no context. It just happens in the Codex. I don't know what else to tell you. So, in 920 M41, Aldari pirates attack the advance escort of a fleet of black ships as they exit warp space in the Thanos system. Do you know what black ships are?
Aren't they like the ships that come to collect like psychers?
Yes.
Like that? Yeah.
Yes, it is. They're usually operated by Sisters of Silence, which we will talk more about in detail when we talk about the Talons of the Emperor.
I know this because of our RP sessions.
Yes.
The
awesome.
Game running.
Awesome. You know what? Shout out to Chamlin. You did it, buddy. You got him. See, he's not even here and he got you. Love it. So yeah, they gather up Psychers and they send them back to Holy Terra where they are sanctioned or nom-nommed on by the Emperor. Depends. The pirates destroyed 3 frigates and captured the troopship Emperor's Faithful. The pirates quickly disappeared, taking with them a vast complement of Astra Militarum and Imperial Navy personnel. Now, as a result, the fleet of black ships is left vulnerable and is picked off by one in further raids. Now, in 925 M41, the Necron world engine is revealed as the architect of the destruction of the Vidar sector. And it is finally destroyed, thanks chiefly to the sacrifice of the entire Astral Knights chapter. So, they boarded that and they destroyed it. And it was a sacrifice. It was very noble because the world engine was scary. In 926 and 41, during the Vaxhallan genocide, a Chaos Space Marine warband known as the Purge slaughtered over 14 billion Imperial citizens and claimed the planet Vaxhall as their own. Now, Vaxhall served as an astropath relay hub and as an Imperial fortress world, the buttress of the Heracles system. Now we come to 937 M41, as Inquisitor Pranix led 5 companies of Space Wolves and units of the 301st Cadian and the 14th Tallarn Astra Militarum regiments to reclaim the 9 hollow worlds from the clutches of the Chaos Lord Huron Blackheart. You remember him? And his Red Corsairs warband. The Imperium's forces are stunned to see how quickly the Red Corsairs have expanded and how vast their renegade empire of pirates has grown at this time. In 941 M41, the Second War for Armageddon began when the largest and most powerful orc in millennia, the warlord Ghazghkull Mag Uruk Thraka, led a vast war that, after much rampaging, met its match upon Armageddon, a hive world of vital strategic importance to the Imperium in the Segmentum Solar. Now, does the word Armageddon as a planet sound familiar to you? Because it should. Because it used to be the world of Ulanor. The same Ulanor where the War Master of the Imperium was made the War Master by the Emperor himself, and later the last mustering point before the big push towards the Sol system during the Horus Heresy. Now, the orcs are defeated only by the stubbornness of the defenders, the combined might of the 3 Space Marine chapters, and the legendary heroics of Commissar Yarick. Ghazghkull escapes and vows to return one day, having earned himself a prominent rival in Yarick. And Yarrick or Yarick, whatever you want to call him, and Gazgul, they have a love-hate relationship that spans the test of time. Now, in 963 M41, the Imperium ran afoul of the Tau Empire when the Ultramarines clashed with a Tau expeditionary fleet for control of the cursed planet of Malbede. When the conflicts awakened, the Necrons whose tombs were hidden beneath Malbede's surface, the Ultramarines joined the Tau in a temporary alliance to defeat the emerging Necrons. Now, are you seeing a trend here already?
Yeah.
Necrons rise. Everybody that usually kills each other joins up and fights them because they're scary. And they are. The Necron are terrifying. And when we do a deep dive on them, you will see why they are terrifying. In the wake of battle, Exterminatus was proclaimed on Malbede by the Ultramarines chapter master Marnius Calgar, but he generously allows the Tau to evacuate before the surface of the planet is destroyed.
Oh, that's nice of him.
He really shouldn't have done that, but he did because he's an honor-bound idiot. The planet's destruction sets off a brief flicker of unknown energy on dozens of planets throughout the galaxy. Now, many fear that more tomb worlds were awakened as a result of that. Unfortunately, the Imperium of Man now finds itself facing two more alien enemies in the form of the humanoid Tau, who seek to expand their growing interstellar empire to serve the greater good. And I used air quotations there. And the Necrons, who seek to reestablish their galaxy-wide empire of ages past. We come now to 969 M41, with the ancient starship Blade of Eternity has once again been sighted, this time near the Kando system. As it was approached, the ship was mysteriously replaced by the infamous Death Guard plagued ship Terminus Est. I want you to take a look at the Terminus.
That ship is pretty wicked.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Is the ship itself a living thing?
It's a demon, yeah.
The ship itself is a demon.
Yeah.
It looks like one.
Yeah, no, it's a demon. Or demons. Who knows? The zombie plague sweeps across the system. Infected refugees carry the chaos foulness far and wide across the Imperium. Now, in 973 M41, a violent warp storm troubles the dreams of people across the galaxy. For those more psychically aware, the storms proved catastrophic. Nightmares cracked the barrier between real space and the warp, slaying many psychers and creating rifts between the immaterium and reality. Although brief, thousands of demonic incursions cause untold damage, and many dark seeds of corruption are planted at this time. Now, in 975 M41, the bloodthirster Scarbrand materialized on the Cadian fortress world of Lutorus Epsilon. This berserk rage infected all he surveyed, and soon the fortifications were drenched in blood as the Imperial guardsmen turned upon each other in crazed bloodlust. Lutorus had since been considered cursed and is currently classified as a quarantine forbidden world by the Inquisition. In 976 M41, a massive orc invasion smashed into the western sector of the Segmentum Ultima. Grax is denied taking the Forge World of Ryza, but the surrounding sectors suffer great devastation. Now, in 989 M41, Snagrod rampages across the Loki sector, culminating in an assault of Ren's world that nearly wipes out the venerated Crimson Fist chapter of Space Marines when an unfortunate accident destroys their fortress monastery. Imperial forces retake the Agri world in 991 M41, and the Crimson Fists begin the long process of rebuilding the chapter back to full strength. Now, though the orcs were finally driven off Ren's world, Chapter Master Pedro Cantor declines the opportunity for pursuit, instead throwing his efforts into rebuilding the Crimson Fist to their former glory. Snagrog himself escapes and proceeds to wreak havoc further across the sector. Now, this is old lore, really old lore. Ren's world and the Crimson Fist used to be like the poster boys of like the Space Marines in Warhammer 40k. Long time ago, like around the time that you and I.
It seems more of the Ultramarines now.
It is now, yes, but it weren't only so. It is interesting because this is like a prime example of old lore meeting new. In that, like this Ren's world and the campaign on it was like early 90s, man.
Yeah.
So like while we were tots just, goo gooing and gaga-and this stuff was happening. And then for some reason the Crimson Fist fell out of favor and the Ultramarines took their place. I couldn't exactly tell you when or why, because the Ultramarines are boring. But, to each their own. So, in 992 M41, Eldar forces attack Cadian holdings on the world of Oront, only to be utterly defeated through the inspired tactical genius of Ursarkar E. Creed. This guy comes up a lot because he has a hand in the final battles of the 13th Black Crusade. Cat tomfoolery going on right now. I see it. So, we come to what's now affectionately referred to as the Second Tyrannic War. In M93, M41, the Ultramarines crushed a rebellion on the industrial world of Ikar IV, only to find themselves in the forefront of a desperate defense against the arrival of the Tyranids' High Fleet Kraken. Elsewhere, the Eldari craft world of Ayandin was simultaneously ravaged by other tendrils of the High Fleet Kraken. 2 Space Marine chapters, the Scythes of the Emperor and the Lamenters, were all but wiped out by the Hive Fleet, and hundreds of Imperial worlds were lost to the ravenous Tyranids before the incursion, later known as the Second Tyrannic War, was finally halted. Okay, so in 138 so this is interesting. We're now getting into like the additional digits of Imperial timekeeping. Just so you're aware, because now I will explain the calendar at a later video, because it does deserve not its own dedicated video, but it should be mentioned. So pay attention, because now instead of just the year, we're going straight to the date, the year, and then the millennium. So in 138, 997, M41, humanity peers into the abyss when the twin tendrils of High Fleet Leviathan emerged from intergalactic space and strike at the underbelly of the Imperium from below the galactic plane, cutting a swathe of truly horrific destruction through the segmentum Tempestus, Ultima, and Solar, in what is sometimes called the Third Tyrannic War. It becomes clear that the 2 previous Tyranid incursions into the galaxy were only reconnaissance expeditions for the main Hive Fleet. From Macragge to Ultima Macaria, the forces of the Imperium hurried to confront this new threat, leaving many sectors open to attack by other enemies. In 221, 997, M41, the world of Piscina IV is invaded by orcs under the joint leadership of Ghazghkull Thraka and the Bad Moon's war boss Nazdrak. Orcish teleportation technology is employed in a surprise attack, and only the stout defense commander that is commanded by Master Belial of the Dark Angels chapter. So we haven't heard from them in a while, right? Cool picture of him too. And the timely arrival of the reinforcement ends the orc threat. Although the Imperial victory is great, several Imperial commanders, including Belial, feel that Ghazghkull has another trick up his sleeve. In 509-997 M41, elements from the Ultramarines and Mortifactor's Space Marine chapters make a stand against one spur of High Fleet Leviathan on the world of Tarsus Ultra. The defenders defeat this tendril with the use of genetically engineered biological plague, but the remainder of the enormous Hive Fleet rampages on unaffected. Now, coming back to Ghazghkull in 601-997 M41, he comes face to face with his old human nemesis, Commissar Yarrick, on the battlefields of the world of Golgotha. And by the way, Golgotha is another word for hell, just so you know.
It's just no word. This planet's so bad, we're going to call it hell.
It happens a lot, but just so you know, that's like an old word for hell. Yarrick is captured by the orcs, but ultimately released as Warlord Ghazghkull is planning to invade Armageddon once more and wants to ensure a good fight. Greenskins flock to Gaskell's war in even greater numbers. Dude, I'm telling you, they have like a love-hate relationship, Commissar Yarrick and Gaskell. It's fucking hilarious. Because like there is an actual animated video that is in Hammer and Bolter on Warhammer Television or Warhammer TV that you can watch. That exact moment where he's imprisoned, Yarrick is, by Gaskell or one of his war bosses, it's not quite sure. And he leads an uprising to try and overthrow Gaskell, and Gaskell's like, huh, you've got spirit, Humie. You're free. And then like he lets Yarrick go because he knows Yarrick will give him a good fight. Say what you will about the orcs, you know, they just love them.
We just love a good fight.
They just love a good crumpin', you know.
It's like Batman, boy.
Yeah, so we come now to the event called the Third Sphere of Expansion. So in 997 M41, good God, the small but vibrant Tau Empire began aforementioned Third Sphere of Expansion. The Tau forcibly captured a half a dozen more Imperial worlds on the eastern fringe near the Damocles Gulf, and several more joined the Tau Empire willingly as Goseva to serve their greater good. Now, the Goseva, or Guevesa, I believe is how it's actually pronounced, are human auxiliaries. Guevesa is the word, or Guava or Guavra, I forget. It's been a while, but it's basically a plural word for human. Yeah. So the war with the Tau suffered several lulls and escalations, and the Xenos showed no sign of relenting in their drive for further expansion, even as Imperial resistance increased in the region. All right. So as High Fleet Leviathan moved ever closer towards their chapter homeworld of Baal, the Blood Angels mobilized to stop the Tyranids in the Siptris system. Also known as the Siptran Shield, the binary system served as a primary strategic defense of the approaches of Baal. Now, the Blood Angels and their successor chapters were forced to forge an alliance with the Necrons of the Mephrit dynasty to unleash an Exterminatus-class Necron weapon known as the Magnoviturium across the system. This is featured in a novel, by the way. This is an actual novel. The ancient weapon ignited the core of the gas giant Eros, unleashing a miniature supernova which scoured the Tyranids from the system, though also at the cost of many Imperial lives. But the Leviathan was only delayed by this campaign and continued its inexorable movement towards Baal. So I don't know if you notice, but for some reason, High Fleet Leviathan is zoning in on the Blood Angels. They go out of their way outside of a normal path, indicating
specifically to get them
go to Baal to destroy them. This is one of the very first times that they see evidence of Tyranid life forms exhibiting higher forms of intelligence, because they go around a system or two or 12 to go to Baal instead. Now, we come to the Third War for Armageddon. In 757-998 M41, Ghazghkull Thraka finally returned to Armageddon for his long-awaited rematch. Even at the head of the new, even greater orc, Ghazghkull had further perfected the teleportation technology that he experimented with on Pacina 4 and began the campaign with devastating victories over the Imperial Defenders. So this dude is teleporting orcs into unsecured locations and rocking surgical strikes. An orc.
An orc is doing this.
Yeah.
He read many a book. He's smart orc.
He is the prophet of Gork and Mork, didn't you know? Imperial commanders, having learnt from their previous encounters with this wily orc warlord, committed massive numbers of troops and quickly sent out the call for the aid of nearby Space Marine chapters and further reinforcements. Several solar months into what rapidly became a battle of attrition, Ghazghkull grew bored with the grinding stalemate that had developed and left his minions behind to finish the fight while he set off to conquer the surrounding planets. He was pursued by Commissar Yarick and the Black Templars, who swore an oath to finally bring the Greenskid commander to heel. I love it. I just like it's like he grew bored with the War of Armageddon, and he's like, "I'm gonna go do something else." And Yarick is like, "No, you don't." He just follows him.
You're like, no, I ain't done with you. You back here.
So, orcs are crazy, man. I love them. I do. There's a reason why they were my first 40K army, because it's just the idea of their shenanigans just makes me smile.
Right.
In 718-999 M41, High Fleet Leviathan invaded the large orc empire based in the Octarius system, unleashing the Octorius War. The battle between Tyranids and Greenskins raged on with no signs of stopping. Imperial Navy scout patrols kept a close eye on the conflict, for should a victor emerge, there was precious few forces of the Imperium on hand to counter whichever enemy should arise out of the sector-wide bloodbath. They contained it. Like, they're like, we're not even. And this is like...
We're not getting in the middle of that.
And the Octorius War is a setting. It's got books. Books of, like, source material for it.
Nice.
In 884-999 M41, the Dark Angel's 5th Company battles elements of the Crimson Slaughter Chaos Space Marine warband for the control of the artifact known as the Hellfire Stone. The Nephilim sector trembles as the hated foes clash. Now, in 975-999 M41, the light of the Astronomicon grows noticeably dimmer, while contact is lost with Ultima Macaria and is intermittent with Macragge and Cypramundi. Now, if you recall, these are all hubs for astropathic choirs. So things are just getting cut off or just going silent. Some Imperial servants theorize that this is because of delays and losses amongst the black ships, while others point to omens of impending doom and the weakening of the Emperor. In 978-999 M41, Drukhari raiders crippled the massive Imperial Navy moorings at Baka, leaving many Imperial star systems are vulnerable to attack. Now, Baka is yet again another planet with a massive astropathic choir as like a relay system for communication. So you're starting to see how, like, the Imperium is being cut off from itself for some reason.
Yeah.
In 980-999 M41, the Red Corsairs launched a massive raid from out of the Maelstrom into the Yazan sector, bringing the Chagoris, Callus, Gartuli, Thaxus, and Sessex systems under siege. Rumors reported that Huron Blackheart had grown his group of renegades as large as a full Space Marine legions of ancient times. So this dude is amassing legion-sized Astartes heretics. Now, the Chaos Lord now wields military power unseen since the time of the heresy. Never good.
Hey, never good.
In 982-999 M41, the Great Awakening occurs, when a ripple of psychic activity passes through the Imperium, awakening the dormant powers of countless latent psychers. The resulting backlash creates innumerable warp rifts, and 1,000 worlds are lost, hopelessly embroiled in demonic incursions. And this is also like a campaign moment, the Great Awakening, just so you know. So in 987-999 M41, the Necrons rise to strike the Cypra Sagentis system, the first recorded Necron attacks within only 2,000 light years of Terra. They're getting there. In 989-999 M41, the Ultramarines' 3rd Company liberates the Lagan system from the Tau Empire during the conflict known as the War of the Rising Suns. Even while they do so, several key worlds of the neighboring Dolmac system capitulate without firing a shot to the Tau ambassadors and join the Tau Empire because they're filthy fucking heretics. In 990-999 M41, the devastation of the Arcturus Belt occurs when Aldari from the Belten and the Samhain craft worlds assault many worlds surrounding the Arcturus system with the intent of denying crucial biological resources to Hive Fleet Leviathan. Many are orc-held worlds, but quite a few were colonized by the humans of the Imperium. The loss of human life is substantial, subsequently, as is the loss of typhs that the planets would have paid to the Imperium in its time of desperate need. In 992-999 M41, the Night of 1,000 Rebellions occurs. Uprising and discord strike countless planets across the Imperium. Unrest raced like wildfire, consuming many outlying planets, but also supposedly secure worlds like Enceladus, Darkhold, and the Minnesota. What is that word? Minnesota. I haven't figured that one out. Even the homeworld of the Lion's Defiant Space Marine chapter is lost to anarchy caused by secret cults and frenetic agitators. Contact is lost between Terra and a large swathe of the Segmentum Pacificus as a result. So, you're seeing it? One segmentum after the other is starting to lose communication. In 993-999 M41, so we're getting really close here, wave after wave of astropathic pleas for help flood at once from all across the galaxy, like all over, though there is only an eerie silence from the Segmentum Pacificus. So powerful is this influx, so overbearing is the psychic current, that the Adeptus Astra Telepathica, which is the organization that oversees telepaths, suffers serious personal losses amongst their astropaths. Whole choirs collapse at once, driven mad, or slain outright, their minds just bursting. Vast breakdowns in Imperial communications ensue, increasing both anarchy and panic as the endless psychic screams for help echo across time and space. Okay, so this is a big one. You ready for this? Because we're going back to a original founding chapter. In 999 M41, the Thousand Suns effected their return to real space when the Legion launched the Siege of the Fenris system in 999 M41. The attack drew the Space Wolves back to defend their homeworld, allowing the Sons of Magnus the Red to wreak vengeance upon them. The Scions of Leman Russ were forced to join with their longtime rivals, the Dark Angels, and other chapters of the Adeptus Astartes to cleanse their system of all chaos taint. But first they had to overcome a plot of Zeech, unleashed by its demonic servant, the Changeling, intended to make the Dark Angels think that the Space Wolves had fallen to their ruinous powers. Unnatural foot soldiers from the entire Chaos Pantheon joined in the slaughter before Magnus himself stepped forth from the warp onto the surface of Fenris, there to face the chapter that had thought to execute his sons on Prospero 10,000 years before. Space Wolves, Dark Angels, and the Grey Knights champions fell to Magnus's psychic might. Their minds and bodies dashed to particulate matter. But the great wolf Logan Grimnar was able to land a blow on the Crimson King, that's one of the monikers of Magnus the Red, just so you know, allowing the demon hunters of the Grey Knights to work their rites of banishment. Though the invasion was driven back, its purpose had been achieved. The psychic anguish of 1 billion deaths rippled through the Imperium, providing the final component in a ritual Millennium in the making. The power taken from the worlds of the Space Wolves saturated the Thousand Suns homeworld in the Eye of Terror, the planet of the sorcerers. It vanished from the warp, only to burst violently into real space, appearing near the burnt husk of lost Prospero. The old and new homeworlds of the Thousand Suns now orbit the same cursed star, a star that has become an omen of doom in the skies throughout the Imperium.
Doom.
Doom!
Doom.
Doom! All right, that's enough doom. No, it's enough doom. We're done. We're done with the doom.
Yeah, what were you thinking? Jeez.
Yeah, I know, right? They thought we were going to say that word again.
Nope.
I don't know.
Wasn't going to happen.
Not going to happen. In 999 M41, the Blood Angels are tested as never before, as a tendril of High Fleet Leviathan is judged to be on a direct course for their homeworld of Baal, even in the wake of the delaying action successfully unleashed during the Cryptus campaign of 998 M41. Worse, the dread bloodthirster Kabanda returns from the darkness of the warp with a demon army at his command, his first blow striking against Ammonai, uttermost planet of the Baal system. Faced with a terrible war on at least 2 fronts, Lord Commander Dante of the Blood Angels makes swift preparation, uniting many imperial and non-human worlds under the banner of survival. Even, I know, right? Grimdark.
Here you go. Shit's about to get real. I need
Yeah. Even some former foes can be counted in Dante's alliance, though whether or not they can be entirely trusted is another matter and will be discussed at a later date, i.e. in the form of the devastation of Baal. You want to guess what happens next?
Black Crusade.
Black Crusade! Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Yeah. In 995-999 M41, Kyle the Despoiler, War Master of Chaos, launched the 13th and hopefully final Black Crusade out of the Eye of Terror with the intent to seize the world of Cadia and the surrounding worlds of the Cadian Gate it defends. This would allow the forces of Chaos to assault the heart of the Imperium for the first time since the Horus Heresy. The forces of the Chaos Gods read like a roll call from epic battles of past ages. So always in the vanguard are the Black Legion, followed by the Death Guard, the World Eaters, the Alpha Legion, the Thousand Sons, the Night Lords, and others from the annals of the Imperium's blackest days. Legions and renegade chapters of Space Marines long thought extinct renew their assaults on the realm of the hated Corpse God. Before them run infected, plague-ridden chaos cultists, deranged mutants, and traitor scum in numbers too great to be counted. Behind them tower demon princes, demon hosts, and other warp creatures eager for the slaughter to be found in the mortal realm. Astropaths everywhere cringe to open their minds to receive messages, for the Imperium rings with mind-splitting peals. Possibly the sound of the myriad tears ripping in the barrier between the materium and the warp. Or perhaps it is simply the laughter of dark gods.
Possible.
You know, it's a Tuesday for us, really. The Imperium is forced to mobilize the largest military force in its history since the heresy and meet the massive chaos assault. After a grueling campaign with a death toll that spirals into the trillions, Abaddon the Despoiler succeeds in tearing down the strange pylons that for millions of standard years had held the Cadian Gate as a stable region of space by using the damaged Blackstone Fortress, called the Will of Eternity, as an artificial meteorite to assault the fortress world. He brings it down on the world of Cadia. Yeah. I said his full name and title because he earned it this time.
He earned it this time.
Despite the efforts of the Imperium's staunchest defenders, including the Black Templars, the Imperial Fists, the Dark Angels, and Space Wolf, the fortress world of Cadia, linchpin of the defenses surrounding the Cadian Gate, eventually falls and a wave of warp storms roars into being across the length of the galaxy. Though reinforcements continue to arrive for both sides, Imperial forces begin a great exodus while battles still rage throughout the sector. Strange events, the appearance of the ancient Archmagos Dominus Belisarius Cole, and a cryptic alliance with a mysterious Eldari religious faction known as the Ynnari, conspire to awaken the Ultramarines Primarch Rebute Gilliman from his millennia-long slumber in a stasis chamber during the Ultramar campaign of the 13th Black Crusade. The Primarch is immediately embroiled in battle as a chaos assault by the Black Legion of Abaddon attempts to prevent his return, though Gilliman successfully drives the servants of the Dark Gods from Ultramar for a time. So picture this, my dude. There's a stasis chamber in the Temple of Hecata, I think is what they call it. You have to, Ultramarine fans, you'll have to correct me. My knowledge base of the realms of Ultramar is not great. But picture him in his stasis throne, just chilling. And you have like the Ynnari there, Belisarius Cole is there, and they're all doing this weird Eldari ritual to bring him back. And while this is going on, they're fortifying him in this armor of fate, is what it's called. And he's just chilling there in stasis with a wound around his neck. But slowly you start to see it heal as that ritual begins to work. And just as the Black Legion Astartes slam through into the interior of the temple, he blinks. And then he looks up. And in a millisecond, the likes of which only a Primarch is designed to achieve, assesses the situation, stands up, and begins to wreck their shit. Rabute Gilliman has returned.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's some good stuff, guys. Good stuff. So Gilliman, subsequently, following this event, embarked upon the successful Terran Crusade through many tribulations to return to Terra and meet with his father, the Emperor, for the first time in 10,000 standard years. What passes between them is unknown, but when he emerges from the Imperial Palace, Gilliman initiates plans for Imperial survival, such as the creation of the Primaris Space Marines that he first set into motion in the days immediately after the end of the Horus Heresy. So like him and Cole, Belisarius Cole, they had like a compact where he gave him a bunch of resources and material and like make the next best Astartes you can. The Emperor is dead or dying and he's on his throne and he can't be a guiding force of intelligence and science and rationality anymore. Belisarius Cole, make it so. And the Lord Commander ordered it, made it so in secret for 10,000 years. Call created the Primaris Project, and then boom, bang, bing. The Primaris show up and reinforce a beleaguered and downtrodden Imperium of Man in its direst of moments of need. But even as Cadia falls and a Primarch returns to the Imperium, the Tyranids of High Fleet Leviathan march ever closer to Terra. Drawn by the light and the power of the Astronomicon in the warp, inevitably towards the heart of the Imperium. So it's like a bug light. He's like, ooh, shiny.
Wait, so they gave up on ball and just going straight for Terra?
Oh, no, that's going on in a separate vein.
Okay.
Remember, when I refer to a High Fleet Leviathan, it's coming from everywhere.
Oh, okay.
The tendrils are everywhere. That's how massive the bug army is, just so you know. Okay. The heroism of the Space Marines and the Inquisition managed to slow down the progression of the massive Hive Fleet, but its ultimate objective is never in doubt. They want to nom the throne. With doom looming over the Imperium, the Adeptus Mechanicus learned a terrifying secret in 986-999 M41. The mechanicisms of the Golden Throne had begun to fail, and they no longer possess the knowledge required to repair that ancient piece of technology. Unless something can be done, the God Emperor will die, and then humanity will face the coming darkness alone. And with that, we'll leave that as frankly, a terrible place to stop for this episode. So, Chef, thoughts? Question.
It seems like a lot of shit's about to go down.
Especially,
but you think like it's such an important piece of technology. Yeah, you wouldn't keep the owner manual anywhere, like the technology how to fix the fucking thing.
Well, you know, interesting time to talk about the Golden Throne, aka the Astronomicon. So the Emperor brought it from off-world somewhere, hidden and lost during the Dark Age of technology.
Okay.
So, like, during the Great Crusade, he found the Astronomicon, and he's like, ooh, what's this do? Pieced it together, and then brought it back to Holy Terra, and then began his Webway project immediately, implying that the Astronomicon, in some way, may be designed to tap into the Webway gates.
Okay.
But he is the only person that knew about it, and because of his secretive nature, he told nobody that's still alive. Yeah, I think there's only one other person that he told about it, maybe two tops, and that would have been Malkador the hero, which you recall was the guy that gave the Emperor enough time to fight Horus by sitting on the throne and getting like disintegrated during the Siege of Terra, and Constantine Valdor, former Captain General of the Custodian Guard. And he is presumed dead, but they never found his body, just so you know. Mm. So there might actually be somebody out there that still knows how to mess with the Golden Throne. I wouldn't say repair it, probably, because I doubt Constantine Valdor is that guy, you know. But Who knows?
Some random mechanic that shows up. I know it.
Did you know there's actually also a series of novels, 3 of them, where they talk about this very subject matter, and they bring in Drukari Hermoculi, which are these like mad scientist bad elves that deal in flesh trade and like mad science of an experimental nature. If they create like abominations and shit, and they brought them in. Is like, listen, we will give you a sliver of his DNA, the Emperor's, if you repair this. Because apparently they know how to. And it devolves into this like subplot where the Drukari, the Dark Eldar, are trying to create a dark mirror astronomicon and create a flash clone of the Emperor to then put on this shard throne, this obsidian throne, in order to like
kind of take its place.
I'm not sure what they were trying to do, honestly. They were just being Drukari. They always have an ulterior motive.
So they didn't actually fix the throne.
No. It prolonged it for a little bit longer.
Oh, they just knew how to prolong it.
They managed, listen, like it's in at the end of this novel that they're like, we can't stop it. It's going to fail one day. And we can't stop it. He's going to die. And the empire he created is going to implode. And that's like the reveal at the end of that series of novels. So yeah, you have any questions? Any comments? We had covered a lot of subject matter.
So are we caught up to current? Like
no,
not yet.
Okay, so this is a good time to mention the next episode is going to be about the era Indomitus, which will then lead us into the Age of the Dark Imperium, which is modern 40k lore.
Okay, just the modern 40.
So, like, at the most 2 episodes, probably it's going to be 1 episode. And then after that, we will finally get to go into deep dive focuses of individual factions, which is really like what I designed this lore channel, lore series, I should say, for. And I'm excited because, my God, it has been a journey trying to collate all of the relevant notable events, let's call them, that transpire during the beginning of the galaxy into modern 40k lore. Yeah. And it's been a ride, right? But we're getting there. We're getting very close. I misjudged. There's probably going to be at least one more episode that will discuss the overall history, and then we can start deep diving and focusing on like whatever we want to focus on.
Gotcha.
Because like at this point, like you pretty much know most of what happens, and so like the fall of Cadia is like a pivotal moment in 40k lore. Like it creates the Cicatrix Maledictum, otherwise known as the Great Rift. So there's like a modern map of 40k's galaxy that has like a tear in reality in the middle that separates from Imperium Nihilus and Imperium Sanctus. So like Sanctus is where the light of the Astronomicon still shines, basically, and Nihilus is like where the Blood Angels and the Dark Angels are, and other notable chapters are located where the light of the Astronomicon never reaches. And there's like a period of history that spans, if not a couple decades, then maybe like a century in the current lore, where the light of the Astronomicon can't be seen, and the people in Imperium Nihilus and Sanctum equally are just rebelling, and like shit's going crazy, and like the Imperium is on fire.
See the light of the Emperor.
And it's only the Indomitus Crusade in the Indomitus era, led by Rabute Gilliman, that reestablishes Imperial authority in a lot of worlds. Like, yeah, in the book, as an example, like our book club, we're going over the age of
so with
Dawn of Fire, which takes place during the era Indomitus.
Okay. So with the return of Gilliman, what other, for the Imperium anyway, like what other Primarchs does the Imperium have currently?
Well, we will cover that.
Most of them seem either like gone to chaos or just gone.
So, yeah.
One's taking a very long walk in the webway, and he hasn't come back yet.
Yeah. So, if you recall, Jagadai Khan disappeared in the webway, presumably to, go take a ride somewhere, and his body was never found. nor was that of Vulcan, and he is presumed dead, but they have no way to prove.
Which we have that's like because like I will say like out of like Space Marine chapters, I've always enjoyed this the idea of the salamanders. They're becoming one of my favorite chapters, at least so Space Marine wise.
Yeah.
So I've been like self learning about stuff like salamanders and I like I say there's no body for Vulcan. He is a perpetual, just like his father was.
Well, we as the reader know that, but like he was, frankly,
it's like we as the reader know that, but they don't know it within.
Well, if you recall,
he was a perpetual anyway.
In the Horus Heresy, he does get atomized because of re-entry. Like there's just like a sliver of a husk left on Macragge when he lands during the what do you call it? It's one whatever. He's on Macragge. He escaped Conrad Kurz's flagship through re-entry because he's a mad lad, and he repaired himself, and he was no longer crazy. And then there was he did, but see that one of those novels I was telling you about that's set in the Horus Heresy. It's literally all about like them taking Vulcan's body that landed on Macragge, which they presume is dead, back to Nocturne, which is the homeworld of the Salamander chapter, and then he resurrects himself, but only through the sacrifice of one of his staunchest and powerful Astartes. Vulcan lives. That's where that comes from.
Yeah.
Because he.
But from like what I've understood, like more recent thing for Vulcan is that he basically disappeared in an explosion with a war boss.
Yeah.
And so, basically because of that, no one's found his body, but they're like, Vulcan lives anyway. He'll come back.
Yeah. If they can find all the sacred arms that were created.
Which they said there was apparently Vulcan hid 9 of his relics across the galaxy.
Yeah.
And the Salamander's beliefs is that if they find these 9 relics and bring them back to Nocturnus, that he will return.
Wishful thinking at its finest. However, I don't know. Because he's presumed missing in action or just flat obliterated and there will be no body because of the the Wa energy of the orcs. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's going to come back at some point. But if you ask me, I do believe Lehman Russ is next up. Now, I will remind you that it is during the Indominus era and shortly after the Dark Imperium era that the Arcs of Omen take place. And then that's when the Lion reemerges. You know, Lionel Johnson of the Dark Angels. So at the moment in the lore, there are only 2 loyalist Primarchs.
You're like, I think he's next. It's randomly the guy from the Webway. He's just like, hi.
See, the issue is you're not paying attention to miniature sales.
So it's all based on the toy sales, I know.
The lore is 100% driven by what sells the most. This is why the Ultramarines always seem to have something drop every other month. And this is also why like you'll never see the White Scars Jagged Icon come anytime soon because they just don't sell that well. Same thing with like the Raven Guard. But the Space Wolves, the Imperial Fists, the Ultramarines, the Blood Angels, these are all top shelf resell.
Yeah.
But you won't see Sanguinius of the Blood Angels come back because he's dead. Unfortunately. Though his model would be bitchin' and I would pay for it. I wouldn't care. $150, I'll pay for it. Let's go. Because it's Sanguinius and he's my beautiful hawk boy. Angel Resplendent. Changed my mind. You can't. So, yeah, my guess is now that Lion has returned and the Dark Angels are the second most purchased chapter in lieu of the Blood Angels, just so you know, because if Sanguinius was alive, they would have brought him back second, if not first, frankly. You know, it makes sense that Gilman came back, though, because he's a pencil pusher. You know, he's the logistics guy. He's the guy that can run an empire of 500 worlds. He did it before the Emperor found him.
Right.
So he's like, hey, buddy, how you doing? He's like, oh, you are clearly my dad. Also, see my ledger.
See my ledger.
Yeah.
Look what I have done.
So, yeah, we have that. Lion's back. Next is probably Lehman Russ because that's just the order of sales.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Buy more salamanders. Bring back Vulcan.
Vulcan lifts, guys. He has to come back. He lives.
He lives, and he lives.
He lives, and he lives. Any questions? Any other questions, I should say?
That's it.
You have any general comments you want to make in regards to the episode?
No, just a lot.
It was a lot, yeah.
Information.
I hope the pictures helped because I think in terms of what I have collated for you over the last 6 months or so, that has to be the biggest list of pictures.
Yeah, there was a lot of pictures, but it definitely helps. And like seeing what other some of the Space Marine, like what their colors are and stuff like that. And,
yeah. Well, color scheme is important. Otherwise, how can you distinguish them from one chapter to the next?
Yeah.
All right. So, like I said, we're going to be going over the Era Indomitus, the Dark Imperium, and hopefully the Arcs of Omen in this next one. We'll see how it takes us. As always, thanks for joining us and sticking with us to the very end. If you like what you see, maybe consider giving us a like, comment, or subscribe to get out our content firsthand. We have a Patreon. It comes out 2 days early every single time. Maybe consider that if you really, really are chomping at the bit to divulge what kind of information happens next out of our poor holes. Your support is appreciated. We look forward to seeing you in the next one. I have been Decurio Iomhar with Chef Tekonis. Say hi. Say bye. Say maybe.
Bye.
Say maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. Signing off. Bye.